Hi, guys. Welcome to the AEW post show. I'm Kelsi, one of your hosts. This is Paul, and we're here for WrestlingNews.co. Thanks for joining us. We want to hear what you thought of the show, what grade you might give the episode of Dynamite. I thought it was pretty darn good. I thought it definitely picked up at the end, but we'll wait a few minutes till you guys start filing in. We start reading your comments, and we'll wait before we really get into the nitty-gritty, but we'll just say some overall thoughts. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the show got off to a good start with Omega and Paige against the Lucha Brothers. Obviously, I've mentioned multiple times that the Lucha Brothers are one of my favorites, if not my favorite tag team. And, the developing story between Paige and Omega as well certainly makes things interesting.
It really does. I really like the Dark Order stuff to close out the show because people were, they were crapping on Dark Order for a long time. And I was like, guys, you don't understand. Back when they were Super Smash Brothers, they were flipping awesome.
Right.
And I think now that they've defined their gimmick a little bit more, I think it's actually quite creepy. And I love how they were chanting in unison to end the show. I thought that was a really cool touch. You don't see that very often. It just really felt very cult-like, and I liked it a lot.
Welcome, everybody who's joining us. And we'll start with a show recap here in a moment as you guys start to get in and tell us what you think about the show as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm about to cough.
Oh, no. Why does he always cough during these post shows? I don't know.
Because I don't talk most of the time, and then when I get talking,
Well, anyway, I give this show, I think, solid A. A- maybe.
I'd say a B plus.
Well, what didn't you like about it?
I didn't not like anything. But it wasn't like.
What kept it from being an A?
There was just nothing spectacular, I don't think. I thought it was a good, solid show. There's nothing wrong with being a B plus, just like I told you about Juice.
Juice Robinson.
There's nothing wrong with being a B plus.
I think Juice is an A, so whatever. Well, let me just say,
just because you're like this elite student who got straight A's and you think a B is like a fail.
I do think a B is like a fail, kind of. So maybe that's the whole thing behind it. I should tell my friend John about that.
B plus is like an A to me.
See, a B plus is like an F, or a D.
No,
well, B minus is like an F.
Did you ever fail any classes ever?
A class? No. A test? Yes.
You never failed a class? But
never.
Did you ever get a D in a class?
Never. No, not even a C.
Wow.
I mean, maybe not a C. Maybe like in elementary school, a C once, maybe in spelling.
I got 2 Ds in college, in biology and economics. Those are the only 2 Ds I ever got.
Well,
it was mainly a minus, B minus, somewhere in there.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yet somehow I'm smarter than you.
No, you're not. Well, I'd say that this show definitely warrants higher than a D. So
yes.
Better student than you were at some points this show.
Yes.
This show definitely worthy of a, you say B, I say A.
I say B to B plus.
Well, I will say this. I'll admit this. I feel like that if we had a choice and didn't have a live show that was specifically about AEW, I would have chosen to watch NXT live tonight. Please, guys, do not say anything in the chat. We have not watched NXT yet, and Paul will be upset if he sees spoilers. I always see spoilers no matter what.
Yes.
But
get people to do it by telling people that it'll upset me.
I'm hoping they'll be nice and not do it because I asked them not to. Yeah. I don't know, though. We'll see.
I think you've already ruined things.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Whatever. I hope not. Then you can be mad at me. But yeah, if we could choose, I would choose to watch NXT on a night like tonight, only because I like the announced matches quite a lot. Not that I don't think that Young Bucks versus SCU wasn't great, because it was. It really was. But those teams can go, and I think they're going to have a longer match at some point. So every time I see a match on Dynamite, I feel like, in some ways, not every time, I did kind of exaggerate there, but a lot of times during Dynamite, I feel like they're saving up for a match down the road. And that makes sense. Like, pay-per-view matches obviously will be bigger than TV matches.
I mean, I didn't feel that way last week with the Texas street fight.
That was that's why I corrected myself. Not every match, because last week was the first time I felt like I really saw what I wanted to see out of Proud and Powerful and Young Bucks. Out of their multiple matchups so far, that's been my favorite. And I really felt like they went all out there.
If you guys want to weigh in on a grade on the show, please do. Let's kind of go through how the night started with the Lucha Brothers versus Kenny and Hangman. And Omega and Phoenix started this match off, but they set the storyline that Paige and Omega had worked things out on social media after last week, And so everything was going to be fine, which we obviously knew would not be the case.
Yeah.
But throughout the match, they definitely had some really good chemistry where you could see them, if they wanted to be a tag team, they work really well together.
But commentary kept teasing the tension between them.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some points where they didn't get, quote, along. So I liked how you could see the obvious chemistry, but the tension was obviously teased.
Well,
because this is going to be a storyline. And they did make note, tying this thread to the end of the show, when the Bucks were getting beaten up by Dark Order, they made mention that Hangman Page was nowhere to be found.
Yes. But, even during the match, like, Hangman was hesitant to high five Omega. Like, Omega's like, let's go. And Page is like, which would kind of be like
last week, kind of,
yeah,
too.
which would kind of be like me, where I don't want to high five.
So you don't want to high five me if I put out a hand?
I'm not a big high fiver.
Or whatever. Or a big hugger, according to our friend Mike Neighbors.
Well,
he likes to hug.
Yeah,
I do not.
I'm not a fan of hugging guys. No.
You're so weird. Who cares?
Anyways, Ray Fenix was his usual spectacular self in this match. He did a suicide dive out onto the floor on Omega, and it was very crisp, very much like I always like to say Dragon Lee does like the best suicide dive because it's like a missile.
Yeah, he's got a great dive.
Ray Phoenix had one tonight, or Fenix had one tonight that I thought was really good on Kenny Omega.
There was a great chop exchange too, especially when both Page and Omega were in the ring and they were just taking turns chopping. And I like how JR actually said Chopomania. So I thought that was a little neat part.
Well, and the other thing that was interesting in this match is Page gets eliminated from the match a couple times where there's 2, 3, 4 minutes where you don't even see him. He's down on the floor. So I thought maybe that was going to set up to Omega kind of like, where were you during this match?
Mm-hmm.
And Page would have been like, well, I got knocked to the floor. But they never got to that. But they did get their wires crossed later in the match. Yeah,
I do like how we kind of already passed this point in the match. It happened earlier. But I like how Pentagon Jr. just kept getting in Page's face more than Omega. He kept really squaring off with Page and, doing the Cero Mierda right in his face and then pushed his face like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Don't beat me up like Page did to Pentagon. I thought that was awesome just because felt like really passionate and stuff.
Yeah, no.
Especially because you could see the anger mounting on Page's face.
I thought also that, with Page's rage building, that he was going to be the one that would make some sort of mistake. And of course, he ended up making the mistake on the buckshot lariat and he hits Omega. And, obviously, then the tensions really start to. So
they start pushing each other and you're like, what the heck? Why are they cutting away? And then they cut away to Pac on microphone, basically calling out Omega saying, I told you. I'm not going to be held responsible for what happens next. And he goes after his good friend.
Michael Nakazawa.
Yeah. But then, weirdly enough, even though they were just shoving each other, Page comes back and helps him after essentially Omega rushes backstage, tries to help his friend and find his friend and also fend off Pac, but he can't find him.
Right.
So nobody's there. Everybody's gone. But then all of a sudden, the Lucha Brothers come out and start beating him up. That's when Page comes back and is like, I guess I'll help you.
Yeah.
But he seemed pretty resolute to help him. So that was kind of cool. They seem to be back on the same, no pun intended, page at that point.
Yeah, the only thing about the cutting away to the video, and I know it was for dramatic effect, but it was like they just started pushing and they cut away so quickly that it kind of, I don't know, it didn't give us the buildup of them pushing, or it almost feels like because Page ended up helping him later, that they should have never even shown them fighting and they should have just popped up the Pac video right away. Because it was just weird to see them push each other for a second and a half, 2 seconds. No. And then, they cut to the video. And then the next thing that happens is, Page helping out Omega. It was all very strange.
It was very strange. But I like this comment right here by Ren. It gave me hope that this Hangman story is going somewhere nuanced, not just straight up betrayal. I like that a lot. So it's multi-toned. It's not just straight black and white. And that's how life is. So some of the best storylines have some shades of gray in it. And I think that's what Ren is pointing out there. Well, I do have to make note. I'm a little distracted. My dog is sniffing my knee. and licking my knee and trying to spill my beer. So this is the third week in a row that our dog's trying to crash our show.
And he's very close to the hardwire, yanking it out of the computer.
Please, Jackson. Go to the other side.
Anyways, the nuanced storyline, and it's funny. I don't know if you guys felt this way, and we're going to get to the ending, obviously, in a minute. I thought there was a good chance that one of the creepers was going to be Paige.
I know.
Pulling off a mask. In fact, I was trying to pinpoint who one of the guys could be Hangman Page. So I thought that would be an interesting twist if he was in the Dark Order all of a sudden.
I mean, it would be weird. And I don't know if it would make logical sense in the end, but it would be very interesting and shock-worthy. But I think the guy that you thought was him, his hair didn't match.
No.
Because I think he did have some hair sticking out. That one that you thought was him. And it definitely didn't look like Paige's hair for sure. Oh, Dave saying our dog is cute. Thank you.
Yeah, well, he definitely wants to be a part of the show every week. I don't know what the deal is. So Joe thought the same thing, that Paige might be in the Dark Order.
Yeah, it was pretty, because just the way they pointed out that he wasn't out there, and it was weird because he did come to Kenny's rescue earlier in the night. So it's kind of like a big statement not to come out again. And Kenny was one of the people who did come out. So it's just like,
and he was getting beat up.
Yeah,
pretty good too.
So it's like, wow, he's helping. And even Cody and Dustin came out, and I thought that was very different too, because Cody just a few weeks ago cut that promo about how everyone's kind of abandoned him, and that's what led him to kind of tagging with Darby. You know, he had just said, oh, I don't have anybody, like everyone's distracted with their own thing, and that's when Darby kind of offered his services to tag with them.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that match in a second, because I was very surprised about the result of that match, but we'll get there in a second.
Ren thinks they save Hangman for when Villain Club happens.
Yeah, that could happen. I mean, I could see that. That would be great. Yeah. That would be a little different.
So the next match was the Butcher and the Blade versus Darby Allin and Cody. Of course, Darby Allin said, I'll tag with you, but you got to give me a future shot, a rematch. So that was one interesting part of it. And the fact that Darby Allin, this was his first ever tag team match in AEW.
Oh, that makes sense. I didn't realize it, but yeah, now that you say it, it's true.
You know what else is true? Cody has more pyro than like the open of the show or the open of Monday Night Raw. Could he have more pyro? It's ridiculous.
It really is absurd. And I said that, remember the first time they added the angels singing to a song?
Yeah.
Oh, and then there was like tons of fireworks. And I was like, because I didn't recognize that new angel part or whatever it is, angelic voices part. I didn't know whose song it was because his song didn't go up right away. So I said, who the heck is this? They got pyro galore. This has got to be somebody huge. Then it was Cody, and I was like, well, he is huge for the company, but it is a little like over the top. And I've already said this before, so sorry if you guys have heard me say this, but I really feel like with all of his over the top, like being such a face of the company type of thing, I feel like it'll be perfect for a eventual heel turn to where he's almost like a Vince McMahon over the top rich character, rich boss behind the scenes, unfair booker type of situation. Obviously, this won't happen for a very long time. We have to see the MJF thing play out first, but
who was not on the show at all tonight,
which was very surprising too, because it's their last show of the year and everything. You think that there would be some teasing of tension there, especially because fast forwarding a little bit, Cody gets the win with Darby against Butcher and Blade. You would think that maybe MJF would come in and crash a celebration or something, make tensions even higher.
Yeah,
but that didn't happen. I'm very surprised.
I was surprised for sure. Well, and especially when Cody came right into the ring at the end, I thought maybe MJF would come out and attack him or something. So.
Yeah, so that he couldn't help the Young Bucks.
Right.
Yeah.
So despite the fact that the Blade has Blade on his trunks, JR messing up which one's Butcher and which one's Blade.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. He also messes up some other names too. I mean, I know he's calling him by his real name, but later in the show, he just keeps saying Jungle Jack over and over and over again. And at one point, he's like, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah. Well,
and I think that was about Jungle Boy.
Right. What we want to call him is Jungle Boy. That's his name in the promotion.
Yeah.
But JR did have a great line about the Butcher. He said he looked like an old school movie villain, which is absolutely true. You could picture him in a silent movie tying a damsel in distress to train tracks.
You know what I could picture him in?
What?
Die Hard, one of the bad guys.
Really?
Yeah, I could. Big, menacing. And you know what? We did recast Die Hard a couple of years ago. We said which wrestlers would help Hans Gruber try to defeat, Bruce Willis's character.
Yeah, we had a whole
McClane. That was
whole
a great
character.
one.
All right, I got to check and see what the dog is getting into here.
Yeah, he's going crazy over there. And now you see all of our mess over there. Oh, great. Wonderful. He's disrupting everything, causing chaos.
I don't know what he's trying to get to.
Much like the end of AEW Dynamite. I do want to do a quick plug since we're in the middle of matches right now. I want to say that if you guys love Home Alone and you love wrestling and you like mixing pop culture with wrestling, please check out our podcast this week. We are taping, I think, early tomorrow, but we are putting out the call for answers. Our question that we're posing is, if you could recast the Wet Bandits, Marv and Harry, which wrestlers would you choose to be in their roles, essentially? So which wrestlers would you cast as the Wet Bandits in the Home Alone movies? And please explain your choices. You can tweet that at me at SuperKickingIt. Again, please get those answers in tonight if you want to participate. We're going to read the best answers on our podcast. I've already got some great answers in right now. Some really good stuff. I don't want to spoil anything. I could say one, but I really don't want to give away the best ones.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Joe says he's starting to dig the Butcher and the Blade. Just need some more background on them. Also, they need to work on their camera angles. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true throughout the whole show.
Yeah, I said that during the Young Bucks match. Look, we know
you've said this in other promotions. To be fair,
yeah, I know it's
too.
not just AEW. You know that the talent is sitting there waiting to catch whoever. In this case, it would have been Scorpio Sky. Don't take the camera angle from behind them where we see them clearly waiting to get hit. Just take a side angle. Take any other angle. I don't know. And every promotion does this. Why would you take that camera angle?
It's one of my least favorite moves right now because everyone makes it look bad, like you just said.
Right.
You could see everyone waiting on the outside, and it just looks terrible. It's one of the biggest criticisms I could make about all wrestling across all promotions, and it really needs to be fixed because it's a popular move, it seems like a popular sequence for people to play into and go to, but it's just if they can't do it where we don't see the people just waiting there looking up, then I don't even care if we ever see it again because I dislike it that much. It just takes me out of the match. There's some things that I can just suspend my disbelief, like in movies. I can do that with other things a little bit easier, but when it comes to seeing the guys on the outside just looking up and waiting, I cannot suspend my disbelief that much. For the most part. If you guys disagree, that's fine. It's a big pet peeve of mine in wrestling. It's probably my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, I mean,
besides some chants I don't like.
Look, we know that stuff is choreographed, but don't make it so obvious. And they are bad about that. So back to the Darby and Cody match. We got to see Darby do his coffin drop out onto the apron again, which was great. And then you were a little surprised at the finish of the match that Cody didn't use Crossroads. Instead, he used the Cody Cutter.
Yeah, I thought that was very random, especially because to me, this was a big match because Butcher and Blade, coming in and blindsiding Cody a few episodes ago, really challenging him, then cutting a promo saying why they want to take him down. They don't like him, that they want to end his reign backstage, essentially. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's the gist of the whole feud and the reason why Butcher, Blade, and Bunny don't really want Cody, succeeding. They wanted to put him down. So to me, I'm kind of torn on this because Cody's over no matter what. And yes, maybe he needs some momentum in this feud with MJF, even though, like we said, MJF was not even on the show. But so maybe he needs the momentum, but at the same time, you got this new team. They desperately need some momentum. They looked good in their debut, even though no one knew them at the time. They still looked very powerful and dominant, but now you've got them losing a big match. So I don't know. I mean, everyone's got to lose a match every now and then. I'm just surprised it's happened so soon.
Right, against a team that's not really a team.
Exactly, and this is only their second match on TV. So I thought maybe they would go on a mini win streak, potentially, but I guess that's not so.
So Darby will get his rematch against Cody eventually, and he took his skateboard and headed up the ramp, and he was gone. And when I thought he left, then I thought, well, okay, we'll get an MJF attack here, and we didn't.
Nope.
Let's go ahead. The video package of Jungle Boy's workouts, impressive.
I like it a lot.
Especially that one thing where he did the squat onto the box jump with the weight on his shoulders.
Yeah.
I would just blow out a knee trying to do that.
I can't do any of the things that Jungle Boy was doing. We just went to the gym before we watched AEW Dynamite, and it was nothing like what Jungle Boy was doing in the gym, that's for sure. I could barely run a couple of minutes on the treadmill. So there you go. But yeah, that was really impressive, and I thought it added a lot to the match. Plus, another thing that added to the match before it happened was the interview with JR talking about Jungle Boy's dad and how much that would mean if he were to be here to see this match, how proud he'd be, how this is everything he ever wanted, him having the big match, him having the big stage, arguably a big match against one of the greatest of all times. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty neat. Yep. I just thought that added some poignancy to the match, and some meaning behind it.
Yeah,
extra meaning. There was already meaning there, but it gave it a little extra oomph.
And that match coming up in a moment. I'm going to let you take those next 2-part talking points about Brandy and Awesome Kong, because I was in the kitchen making dinner during that portion, and I'm going to try and corral this dog while you...
So basically, we have Brandy with another promo, and I hate these promos for some reason. I mean, I like what she says in the promos, but I don't like that they sound so echoey for some reason, and I've noticed... all their video packages, they seem to have sound issues, and we're no stranger to sound issues on our live stream, so we're not totally ripping them apart completely. We understand these issues arise, but at the same time, they're on TV, we're not. But all their video packages and backstage segments where it's live, they sound weird. But specifically Brandy's, they always sound echoey. Specifically. And I don't know why. I don't know if that's on purpose, for some kind of mood, but I don't think it's on purpose. And also, I think that her whole ripping off her skirt part is ridiculous. Because it happened last week. She had this awesome promo, but it was very distracting. In the middle of, the promo, or, the beginning, middle, it was, right at the start. The camera pauses, and, you wait and see her rip off the little, shawl skirt thing. And it's I don't know. I feel like a villain wouldn't really wait and do that. And to me, it just doesn't go with the character that they're trying to do. Her promos are so poignant and cutting, and yet, she's fooling around with her wardrobe. It's just distracting to me.
Yeah.
I don't like it just because it takes away attention from what she's saying. Also, we've got the bald dude in our promo again. We still don't know who he is. And they're still trying to go after Chris Statlander, saying we want her to come home. Who knows, it might happen tonight. And then we go to the match. Fast forward, Awesome Kong. It's her first match on AEW Dynamite, which I was actually surprised about. But then thinking about it, I was like, oh yeah, she hasn't had a match. She's just appeared and cut people's hair off and stuff.
Right.
So that makes sense overall. And of course, it only lasted a minute. It was basically a squash match. And then they cut off a piece of her hair, of course. We've got Melanie Cruz, who was the one who had her head shaved a few weeks ago. She was the one who handed Awesome Kong the knife for Kong to cut off the hair. So that was kind of cool. I like how JR posed the question, what does it all really symbolize? What does this hair, this trophy type of, because they're acting like it's a trophy, what does this really mean to them? What does it symbolize? I like how he used the word symbolize.
Well, especially because there's the yin and yang of there's a bald guy in the promo. So
yeah.
They're collecting hair. Maybe they're collecting it to make a wig for the bald guy.
That would be so random and weird. That would be funny.
Joe says he thinks that Brandy's trying too hard with her promos.
I like that comment, Joe, in a way, because I see it half and half. To compare it from something from Raw. So we were all ripping apart Lana for these over-the-top promos, and I'm still thinking they're terrible and over-the-top, but she tweeted something that made me kind of think of it in a different light. She tweeted that her acting inspiration was Catherine O'Hara from Schitt's Creek. So if you've seen Schitt's Creek, which I don't really like because I actually think the acting's over-the-top and corny, but I like Catherine O'Hara. I mean, I love Home Alone. She's in that as well, but she didn't overact in Home Alone. Except for maybe Kevin,
yeah.
But that's not overacting. My mom would really be upset. Anyway, plus she was longtime friends with John Candy, which I love too. I got to fit in my nerd talk when I can, guys. So just bear with me here. John Candy, love him. R.I.P. Miss him. He's great. But going back to the Catherine O'Hara inspiration for Lana, it made more sense because in the show Schitt's Creek, she's super over the top and super over dramatic as a character, and even puts on this accent type of thing, and she's got this long drawl, and when she says things, when she's upset on the show, she draws it out no, like I can't describe it. And that's what Lana did. And so once she said she was taking inspiration from that, I could actually see and hear what she was talking about. I was like, well, if she truly is trying to like mimic that, she kind of is, because it is a little corny and like ridiculous and over the top. But in Schitt's Creek, it kind of works. But I don't know if it works for Lana. But going back to Brandy, so maybe she's trying to be a little over the top and a little extra. I don't know, but she's definitely specifically using an accent. I didn't make a note of that later in the show. She's got like, I can't even describe it. It's not British, obviously. It's not a different type of country sounding accent, but like a sophisticated accent or something.
Like a hoity-toity.
Yes, like uppity type of accent. And it's funny, it's like how I would try to talk if I was trying to lose my accent, which you claim I have. However, I can't even do a fake accent to try to lose the little accent I have. So I don't know. So I don't know what Brandy's doing, but yeah, Joe, you might be right. She might be trying a little too hard, but I mean, I think it kind of walks the line of being a little campy, and I don't mind that with some things. So
she does, Dave, kind of, it is sort of a Southern accent meets hoity-toity, like a, I don't know, kind of like a Southern belle, although
a Southern belle living in a mansion, an evil mansion, because she's trying to be evil. So I don't know.
Let's move on. You already made mention of the JR and Jungle Boy interview, so let's go to the match itself. Jericho on the mic with a sign during the commercial.
I couldn't even read the signs during the commercial. It was too fast.
Yeah.
And they were written kind of messy.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was silly to have Jericho on the mic during a commercial. I mean, I didn't understand that at all. You could have had him come to the ring, during the commercial without, hearing his entrance music, and then come back live with him on the mic.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. And their sign, like I said, it was messy. It was messier than my notes. That's how bad it was. So you couldn't read it, and so it was kind of pointless. And I know they were trying to do a funny effect and also kind of work with what they had because they didn't have the audio time, but it just didn't work out the way they, I think, imagined it would.
Speaking of signs during the match, somebody held up a bubbly club, like Bullet Club, during the match. Yeah. I thought that was fun.
Bubbly! You got to say it more like that. Bubbly Club!
Jungle Boy gets off to a quick start in this match, but Jericho keeps beating him down, and Excalibur says Jericho's like a cat playing with his food right now. He had a couple code breakers, but
he didn't cover on purpose.
Right.
So Jericho was like, that's when he was playing with his, quote, food. I kind of like that, though. It's Jericho trying to be the cocky heel that he is. It perfectly matches his character, and it worked in this match. And, since we know the end result was Jungle Boy lasting over 10 minutes, I think it's kind of cool that he lasted 10 minutes even with a cocky Jericho.
Jericho distracts Aubrey Edwards and, of course, Jake Hager. I'm going to keep calling him Jack. Jake Hager gets involved, and he embattles Luchasaurus, and then Marco Stunt tries to fly in, and
he gets like punched out of midair. He gets like put down.
Yeah,
it looked really intense.
Yeah, that was
a good visually good.
Like,
yes.
Well,
Luchasaurus later had to carry him out. I liked that a lot too. A nice little touch to make it seem like he was really out.
I don't know how Marco Stunt's going to last very long if all he's going to do is be a beatdown guy like that, because those are some brutal hits that he takes.
They are brutal hits, but I hope he's not just a beatdown guy. He can't be.
Well,
it's against the whole story of his success.
Unless they have a cruiserweight division.
Shut up.
Yes.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Oh.
Whatever. We see differently on this.
You can't have Marco Stunt. I mean, yes,
you can.
You can have some moments. It's like Cheeseburger in Ring of Honor. It's fun to see him in some matches, but
Rocky was a nobody, and he came and he beat the champ.
Rocky who? Balboa or Romero?
Balboa.
He wasn't 140 pounds.
I'm just talking about
dripping wet
Cinderella
like Marco
story.
Stunt.
It doesn't matter. It's about a story of an underdog, David and Goliath. It works. Traditionally in history, this storyline has worked. I disagree with you.
If Goliath is a giant polar bear and Marco Stunt is a fire ant, maybe, or something, yes. I mean, look, I like him. He's talented, but come on.
I disagree with you 100%.
And I'm not one of these people that says everybody's got to be a big galoot. We've certainly got friends that are like that.
He's got like great friends who we both love, but they rip everyone apart for not being big enough, and I hate that because it's a different day and age in wrestling, and size doesn't matter as much. If you want to talk about reality, MMA fights and stuff, the size doesn't matter. Little dudes can hit out. I mean, I don't watch MMA, but little dudes can knock out big dudes. They can beat them, I think. Right, guys? Like, if you give some examples, I would be very appreciative of that because I don't watch MMA.
I would love Marco Stunt to be an active wrestler. You know, if they created a hardcore rules or a cruiserweight or a light heavyweight. But I'm sorry, he's not.
I'm sure they are going to add another title eventually. In fact, like, let's just go on a sidebar real quick since we're talking about you don't think Marco Stunt's okay to be wrestling with everybody else.
See, Dave's in your corner.
I knew he would be. Not just because he usually is very supportive, but also because I think I knew that he would think the same on the same wavelength as me. Because
we can't get along. We can't get along all the time. Nobody wants to see us just get along all the time.
I like when we disagree, actually. But
as long as it's respectful.
Shut up.
It's okay to disagree.
That is my little catchphase. But I really believe it.
I know you do.
For the most part.
I know.
Except when you disagree, like behind the scenes. Yes. And I don't believe my little statement. But anyway, I just want to go on this sidebar very quickly. What do you think could be the first title that they add that's not the heavyweight title in AEW?
Yeah.
What would be your favorite type of title that they would add first? What do you want to see?
I mean, I think that eventually you got to have some other sort of singles title. I just don't know what it would be. I don't know if you want to do a light heavyweight.
I like Ren saying cruiserweights. You can't really do that because then you'd lose Darby. You'd lose Jungle Boy. You'd lose all these guys in the main title scene.
I agree.
And that would be less depth, in my opinion.
So I don't know if you can do a hardcore type division. Maybe you reach back and bring back some sort of traditional old belt and make it the equivalent of a United States or Intercontinental title. But there's got to be another singles belt at some point.
I don't know. I think they'd have to be careful to do a hardcore belt because, like, are they dipping their toe in that well too much? Because they've already had a couple of hardcore matches. They've already kind of been known for going that direction with some of their stuff, especially with Moxley, Janela. I mean, and eventually we're hoping Jimmy Havoc. Of course, he hasn't really gotten a chance to shine in the type of hardcore matches that he used to wrestle when he was outside of AEW. But, I just think a hardcore title, you'd be having those type of matches all the time, really intense matches, and maybe it'll be a little too much. But I'm not opposed to it, though.
I thought it was cool, though, in this, getting back to the match, when Jungle Boy did the series of suicide dives. And he went between the third and second rope, then the second and first rope, and then went over the top rope. I thought that was a cool sequence, building the suicide dives.
Oh, it was. I called it like a progression because I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
Just it kept going through different ropes. Lion Salt, no one home. And then Jungle Boy Lion Salt's onto Jericho and almost gets him, but Jericho kicks out. I liked that a lot, though, using his own move against him. Then the commentary team was kind of emphasizing how big that would have been if he had pinned him with his own move. Of course, we know that would have been a big deal, but would have been very insulting to Jericho. But I just like how commentary was really cinching that in and driving that home.
Jericho would powerbomb Jungle Boy and would eventually put him in the walls of Jericho. But Jungle Boy doesn't tap out. I predicted that Jungle Boy was going to tap out with about 2 seconds left on the clock so that Jericho could say, see, he couldn't last 10 minutes. But we'd get the payoff that Jungle Boy almost lasted 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But we got the opposite where Jungle Boy lasted longer than 10 minutes and Jericho demands that the match go another 5 minutes.
He demands it, but as soon as Jungle Boy starts fighting back in that extra 5 minutes, Jericho gets fed up and just walks away. And then during the commercial break, he comes back out and throws a fit. He throws the ring bell off the table. He starts to yell at Jungle Boy's family who are in the audience. I liked that a lot. He taunts the audience. He's walking back and forth, pacing around. Then we come back from commercial and he's yelling, talking on the microphone, talking about how he didn't lose to Jungle Boy. And then he basically calls out Moxley and is like, I hope you're still thinking about things. And so his tune changes and he becomes all, quote, nice, even though it's like Jericho fake nice, which I really like because it's like he's putting on a little act. And I like how laying it on thick.
Mhm.
Like molasses.
Yeah.
I like it. So Jericho just going on and on. You should think about it. And I know you've talked
Oh
to
yeah,
your
he
beautiful
slapped
wife.
Justin Roberts too. That's
Oh
right.
yes, he did. I know you've talked to your beautiful wife. I know you've talked to your awesome mom, who I've met. And if we've got a big surprise for you on January 1st, so have a good happy holidays in the meantime, and keep thinking about it. So I wonder what that giant surprise will be.
We'll see. Then there was the backstage promo with SCU, interrupted by Pentagon and Ray Phoenix, where Pentagon gets in Christopher Daniels' face and says he doesn't have it anymore. So clearly building towards a singles battle between the two of them, which will be awesome.
It'll be fantastic. I can't wait to see it. Christopher Daniels, one of my favorites of all time. All time.
Yep.
I've talked about him a lot, so I'm not going to go into how he's got one of my favorite promos ever.
Right.
Against Adam Cole, etc.
Well, if you're not going to go into it, then you
I barely
just did. So you might as well finish
did.
the thought.
Well, the whole thought is he cried in this awesome promo when he was about to have a title match with Adam Cole, and I talk about it all the time, but it's one of my top, 5 promos ever. Yeah. I really love that promo.
Next up, we got Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander. Not a lot to report on this one. Britt had a nice suplex of Chris off the turnbuckle, but Statlander would counter in that. Baker with a fisherman neck breaker and super kick, and tries to put Chris in the submission, but Chris hoists up Baker and hits Big Bang Theory, which I was a little nervous about. I don't know about you guys. It looked like Britt Baker's head was a little low in the pile driver.
We watched it twice. She looked okay in the second time we watched it.
Yeah, but it just seemed low. Obviously it wasn't, but
could be perception or the angle or something. I don't know, but yeah, I understand being nervous when they look so low and bad things could happen, as we know from a long time ago. Speaking
of looking nervous, Riho in the audience looking nervous about Chris Statlander.
She did a good job looking nervous. She really did, because after the match was over, it looked like a look of true concern.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Very natural seeming. And of course, now we know that Statlander is the number 1 contender for Riho.
And they will meet on that January 1st show.
Should be a great match. I really like Chris Statlander. She's growing on me quite a bit. I didn't really know who she was very much, but I know a lot of people did from watching her on the non-WWE, non-AEW scene. They saw her elsewhere. Really liked what she had to offer, and I'm liking her too. I like her gimmick a lot. And then we had Brandy coming out trying to, one more time, recruit her into the Nightmare Collective, which again I think is a reference to the Borg and to Star Trek Next Generation, but I hope I'm right, because that'd be so cool. I mean, it really would fit them. They like Star Trek.
How good's your Spanish?
I took 10 years and I don't know anything but hola.
Before Alfredo,
and I can't even say that right.
Before Alfredo gives us the answer here, Quiero ver lucha. I want the luchas to not
get, maybe.
And hablando is speak.
Hablando paja. It could be bad stuff that we're reading right now. We don't even know. Why are you starting this? We could be reading terrible shit. I don't know.
Well, Alfredo, give us the translation, or somebody else that speaks. I know I had 3 years in high school and 2 in college, and I can pick up words, but like complete sentences.
Hola, Valley Girl. That's all I know how to say. It sounds like I'm total Valley Girl when I say it.
There's another audio issue in this where there was no sound initially on the backstage segment with Tully and Spears talking about searching for the perfect tag team partner and that they're going to keep scouting.
Oh, well, you did pass up that Chris didn't want to join them, and Brandy hits her.
Oh, I thought you already said that.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Brandy hits Chris in the eye with her high heel. I don't know why that made me laugh. Just like the idea of someone coming at me with a high heel is kind of weird. But I thought it actually worked quite well. Just the idea of it's making me laugh. Not that it was bad or anything. But I like how quickly they turned on her. They wanted to recruit her, and then they were like, screw you. You don't want to join us? We're just going to beat you up. That worked out well. So then go back to what you said about the production problems with that Tully and Sean Spears little video package backstage segment. I do like that they're searching for a tag team partner. Mm-hmm. I do like how they talked about how Spears getting into a tag team is almost like a move up. That's how they were talking. Like it's so prestigious, that it's a good thing to try to find a tag team partner in AEW because they really value tag team wrestling. I like how they talked about all of that because, tag team wrestling, to me, in my opinion, is one of the foundations of AEW, and I think they should play it up. I think they should put emphasis on it.
Okay, so the translation is he wants to watch wrestling, not people talking. So I can get that.
Well, then you can tune out then.
No,
Unless he means the
promo
show.
host, yes. Otherwise, I don't think he's talking about us.
He could be talking about us. He hates us.
But then why would you have signed in the first place?
People do that stuff. I don't know.
If you're talking about it in the ring, I get that some people just want to see the action. They don't want to hear talking.
I don't mind it. You got to have something to break up the stuff.
As long as it advances the storyline,
yeah, I'm okay with it too. Like if it advances either the storyline or the character development, I'm okay with it.
More talking. The Young Bucks promo, which actually was
amazing.
Yet another great promo.
We've been scratching, clawing our way back up. We've earned ourselves a shot. Like how they talked about how they're great friends with SCU, which I was hoping they would mention. They wouldn't just pretend like they're feuding with no history, of course. So I like how they talked about how SCU's going to be at the Young Bucks house on Christmas, and talked about how when they win the titles back, hopefully it won't be too awkward for SCU when they've got their titles out on display during Christmas dinner. Of course, we learned that won't be the case, but I like the little dig in the promo. I thought it was wonderful.
Into the match itself, and Scorpio Sky, I think they even mentioned it, that Scorpio is one of the most impressive talents over the last few weeks. I know we've talked about him.
He could have a singles career in AEW eventually. I really do think.
But that standing Hurricane Rana that he did on just flat-footed, leaping off the floor and taking Nick off the apron was just a perfect example of how athletic and awesome he is.
Yeah, I mean, later in the match, he does that sent onto the outside, and that looks so beautiful. Everything he does is pretty nice. I like him a lot.
Speaking of Hurricane Rana's, Nick went to attempt one off the top turnbuckle, was a little wobbly, got his balance though, and was able to hit it, and obviously that looked awesome.
Speaking of great athletes, Nick's one of the best, especially in tag team wrestling. He really is the super high flyer of the two Young Bucks.
Nick hit an Escalator to both members of SCU on the floor. Then there was a DDT by Kaz
to break up a submission in the ring. Commentary emphasizing how the Bucks are beat up from the Texas street fight. I like that because it gives a reason, now that we know that the Bucks lost, this whole thing about them being beat up, them not having rest, them being through the ringer, it really gives a reason to why they could have lost. So eventually they can re-challenge whoever has the titles. It might not be SCU because they probably have to climb their way back up yet again. But I like how it leaves things open and it doesn't make them look too weak because they just had an insane big match and they did well in it. So
yeah, and Ren agrees with us. Nick just is so awesome, and he's always just been so smooth and just beautiful in what he does.
And kind of making a comment about the Bucks. I know I've seen people say the Bucks are overrated. You've seen one Young Bucks match, you've seen them all. I highly disagree. I feel like they've been really good at evolving with their characters, evolving with the times, because they've changed up their offense. If you guys really pay attention, there's no way that you can say, oh, if you've seen one Young Bucks match, you've seen them all. That's totally untrue. You look at different little phases in their career, they've done things completely different. They used to do the back rake, and they used to finish every match with more bang for your buck. Then they moved on to Indie Taker. Then they moved on to Meltzer Driver. Then they stopped doing the back rake. Then they started doing more submission work back in New Japan at one point when they moved up to the heavyweight division. Then they also started to sell their limbs more during a match. Matt was selling his back for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
At least it felt like it was at least a year,
mm-hmm.
if not longer. So they have evolved. They're not just high flying spot monkeys as people used to criticize them by saying. I also think that the promo before the match, just to rewind for a second, it also shows that they can cut a promo too when they want to. They can, of course, everyone knows they can be funny and cut a over the top kind of campy promo.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like Brandy Rhodes style or Lana style, but in a good way. But they could also do serious ones like they did tonight. So, but back to the match. I just want to make that comment about how they're not just high flyers, and they've shown that before.
Matt got a near fall on a roll up, but SCU later on to Matt for the win. At first, I kind of thought the ending was a little rushed because it was things were developing, and then there was a quick near fall, and then quickly they hit SU later.
The match felt long to me. It felt like a decent length.
Yeah. So but I initially thought, did they rush it to get off TV again?
Yeah.
But they had to wrap up because we were going to get a little invasion at the end.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't think anything will ever feel as rushed as the other week with Raw and Randy Orton.
Yeah,
that was like, even if this was a little rushed more than they had planned, I really think it still wouldn't have looked as bad. If the show had ended right there, it still wouldn't have looked as bad as Raw did a few weeks ago, because that was super quick with the copyright coming up before the match was even over. That was ridiculous. But yeah, I like the beatdown. But before I get to the beatdown, I will say I like commentary in AEW, but sometimes I really miss other commentary. Like, I watched Final Battle, and if you guys like Ring of Honor, go check out my Ring of Honor Final Battle review. It's up on the same YouTube channel you're watching now. But when I was watching Ring of Honor, I was reminded of commentary that doesn't micro-analyze the tag team wrestling rules. They don't every second talk about who has a tag, who is this, and who's that, and refs got to be careful here, and this and that. Like,
they've got to get two of these guys out of here at one point. Yeah.
I can't stand the emphasis of the rules. And I know that's like part of the presentation that they want to put forth, and I guess it's part of their vision, but I don't like it. I just think it's like, it takes away from just enjoying the match. It's like they want to explain away every, I guess what you would call inconsistency in tag team wrestling, or they want to explain things away, and they want to make sure that the rules are being followed to a T. But the thing is, when you start to emphasize how the rules are not being followed, then you make your product look silly, or people in the product, like the refs or even the tag teams. Oh, they didn't tag in. What are they doing? You know, the Ring of Honor commentary made me realize how much I miss commentary that doesn't emphasize rules so much.
Well, and it's funny because if there's a brand you would think that would do it, it would be SmackDown, because Fox is almost presenting SmackDown like real sports. They promote it during football and all that. So if any place you would think they would try and make a point of that, you would think it'd be on SmackDown. Certainly not in AEW, where, you know, these guys have done these kind of things in New Japan and things like that, and he didn't like that stuff there either. To answer Dave's question, you know, JR was okay. He had some good lines, but he, at the same time, like I said, he messed up some guys' names and interjected a few times.
It's just like, you know, the rules thing is just getting on my nerves. Right. Regardless if it's JR or whoever. I mean, I love Excalibur to the ends of the earth, but even if he was overemphasizing the rules, I would get annoyed.
Right.
Whereas Ian and Caprice on Final Battle, they were not doing that. They were just having fun. And the thing is, you could have good commentary, and you can call the match. And if there's an inconsistency, the cool thing about like Ring of Honor, when I was watching, they would explain the inconsistency or whatever, the flaw in logic away. They would somehow make it make sense to where you were just like, oh, okay, like that doesn't matter then. I can suspend my disbelief and keep going with the match. To where like this is like, they don't even want to suspend your disbelief. They just want to be like, oh, it shouldn't be like this. Oh no, they have to tag and this and that. And so, and it makes it worse in my opinion. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That was just my little rant I had to go on today. I did like, I mean, the commentary wasn't so bad. It just, compared to Final Battle, wasn't as good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we love Ian and the Caprice, and
we did love Colt when he was there too. Colt's gone.
There. Yep.
I'm going to miss him and Ian. They're like best friends together. I'm going to miss them together for sure.
The show ends with the Creepers coming to the ring, and the lights go out, and Dark Order is in the ring, where they congratulate SCU and say Young Bucks will suffer a hard loss. Any other night we'd like to join, but tonight it's an initiation.
It's not a recruitment. Yeah. So they start to beat up the Bucks, and you know, people come in to try to help the Bucks. Like, for instance, like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, I said it was the Rhodes, both Cody and Dustin. Of course, Kenny Omega comes out. Of course, all to no avail, because the Young Bucks are still laid out in the middle of the ring, surrounded by all those creepers and the main two of the Dark Order. I thought it was a cool visual. I thought the chanting was cool. And even cooler visual, and also gross, was when Evil Uno shoves his hand like really far down Nick's mouth. and like Nick's mouth's all bloody. So like he like holds up his hand after he puts it in Nick's mouth and it's like, yeah. And then JR, this is actually something I like that JR said, but it was a little over the top. JR says, where is it? Where I wrote it?
Get off that.
Oh yeah, get off that shot. It's distasteful. It's distasteful.
And then the show ends with him holding his hand up with the blood and the crowd chanting, "We are one."
So it was "We are one."
Yep.
But then they said something else after. It was "We are one." Something.
I
we are one.
I didn't hear the second part.
I thought there was something else, but maybe you guys heard it, but I missed it. I couldn't quite hear. But I like it. I think they're effectively getting Dark Order over in the sense that they're getting some heat now.
Yeah, there's definitely a crowd reaction now to them.
Yeah, I like it.
As opposed to silence.
And people were bashing me for supporting them. They were questioning me, saying, Kelsi, no way they're going to get over on a main stage like this. I told you guys to be patient. Let the wrestling shine. But guess what else is shining? Their gimmicks coming through and coming across. And it's better than what we originally saw. You know, people were just like, ew, with the creepers. They didn't like it. They thought it was awkward. I like it a lot. I think it's working now that they've got more, now that they've got a whole story behind it. Like I said, it's a very cult-like atmosphere and feeling to what they're doing. And I love the video packages. They really add to it, where they're like trying to essentially brainwash people. I like it.
Yep. So you said an A- on the show. I said a B or a B+. But
what would be an A show to you?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess NXT's lineup's going to be an A for you.
We'll see. It could disappoint too, but we're not doing an NXT live review. So.
I know. I wish we could watch both and then do a review. I would really like that, but the timing will not work out. I mean, we wouldn't be doing a show till like 11 at night.
No, that's true.
It wouldn't work.
Any other comments or questions? Get those into us here in the next minute or two. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap things up.
Yep,
Mr. Fluffy asking what football game on for this weekend.
Only you would know.
Are you asking like what football game will we be at? Because we will be in Nashville. I, of course, cover the New Orleans Saints, so I'll be at the Saints-Titans game. And
I guess I'll be there at the stadium.
Kelsi's going to tag along.
I'll be in the press box, I guess. Lots of waiting in there. But I'll be with my good friend Mike Neighbors. I'm excited about that.
Someone on Twitter posted a picture of the clay soldiers from Power Rangers.
Oh, my God.
I was like, I really like the creepers.
That is awesome. The putties. So if you guys watched Power Rangers growing up, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, there's these putty guys, the putties. I really like that. Dave saying that somebody said that they remind him of the creepers. Very funny. You just reminded me, Dave, I do want to call out this awesome tweet. So before the show, I was looking on Twitter and I saw Cody tweeted this awesome picture, actually 2 pictures. And he said, I'm really excited to be back in this building tonight. And Paul, where were they again tonight?
Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi. And they are you sure that was tonight?
I am.
And not last week?
I am.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was tonight. I'm losing track of time.
Wait, I was right? Shocking.
Anyway, Cody posted a picture and said, I'm very excited to be back in this building today. He posted a picture on the stairs of that building with his dad, Dusty Rhodes. Then he posted a picture from today where he's sitting on those same stairs, but just by himself, like looking contemplative. Yeah. Kind of like that. So obviously it meant something to him to go back there. Memories of his dad, of course. I'm sure he's got that at a lot of different places, but still, I love the tweet. I thought it was very heartfelt and really cool to see those 2 pictures side by side.
Yeah, it was. Orange Cassidy on Dark was awesome. Not a question, just a thought.
I like that you mentioned Dark, actually. So I had not watched any episodes of Dark because we're just watching so much now. It's so hard to catch. But we were at the gym literally minutes before AEW started. We had to rush home. But at the gym, I was killing time trying to get my mind off of running, and I watched some of Dark because it's easy to access on YouTube. I'm really liking it, and that's when I saw the Young Bucks promo that they showed again tonight during the actual show on Dynamite. But I saw that, I saw a great long match between SCU and Private Party. It had to be 20 minutes. It basically was on the whole time I was running. So I actually quite like Dark, and I hope we can catch more of it in the future. I'm not going to promise that we'll talk about it any week or every week, or maybe some weeks we will, though, hopefully.
Well, I mean, we wanted to get around to watching NWA Power, and we still haven't even been able to do that.
I know, and I wanted to watch Into the Fire, their latest pay-per-view, and we still haven't watched that.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
Now I know who appeared, which could mean some different things for AEW. Obviously, he's not coming to AEW right away if he's involved. I'm talking about Marty Scurll. If he's involved with NWA, he's obviously not going to appear in AEW, but it's fun to speculate that he might eventually appear.
Yeah. we can't watch everything.
No,
that's
we can't.
That's the key, especially when
cannot.
we're going to Snoop Dogg concerts.
Yeah, well, that was like our one moment of fun. So last night we went to see a Snoop Dogg concert, and it was awesome. So Snoop Dogg was incredible.
It was.
And I went crazy and was like actually enjoying it and stuff.
Yep, for shizzle.
Whatever. Sounds so weird when you say it.
Yeah, well,
you ain't Snoop Dogg. Get out of here.
Definitely not. We want to remind you that our podcast drops Friday morning. Two-Faced Wrestling Talk. On that episode, we will talk about tables, ladders, and chairs. We'll talk about tonight's AEW and NXT
Final battle.
Final battle.
A little bit of Raw because we didn't watch all of it, but or did you?
I've watched most of it. I saved all
some of it.
The two matches you hadn't seen that you wanted to see.
We'll see. Because we're going to try to tape this podcast tomorrow instead of tomorrow night like we usually do. We're going to try to do it in the morning. So who knows what we'll get to, but the things he named, we're definitely getting to.
And, of course, the Home Alone.
Yes. So again, I just want to give another reminder. If you guys love Home Alone, if you love wrestling, why not combine the two and participate in our question and answer this week? It is a question I'm putting out there, and I want to hear you guys' answers. So the question is, if you could recast the Wet Bandits in Home Alone, which wrestlers would you choose to play Marv and Harry, the Wet Bandits / Sticky Bandits? You can, essentially recast Home Alone 2, Home Alone 1, but technically it's the same thing. So even though they were just called different names in the two movies. But either way, give us your answers. Tweet at me at SuperKickinIt, SuperKickingIt. I'm dying to know your answers. There's so many good ones so far. And please add your answers into the mix because we want to read them tomorrow morning.
And, if you missed the final battle or the TLC live review, those are available on this YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to Wrestling News Co.'s YouTube channel for all sorts of great content.
And if you guys enjoyed this review right now, please think about liking it and maybe sharing it with your friends, telling some friends about us. That would really mean a lot, and we'd sure appreciate it. Word of mouth is basically how we could reach more people, so we really need you guys' help on that. Again, but the biggest thing is to subscribe to this channel so we can keep doing what we do, so we can keep bringing you this content, so my boss can stay happy with my job that I'm doing. So help us out there. And if you like us, maybe tune in for our next live stream. Just a reminder, we're not going live. We usually do Monday Night Raw reviews. We didn't this week because we had a Saints game we were working. And as Paul kind of quickly mentioned, we'll be in Nashville on Sunday, but we're still going to be there on Monday. So we will not have a chance to do a live Raw review because we won't probably watch it live. So sorry, guys. One more week without a Raw review for next Monday, but we'll be back after that. Or we should be.
I'm sure it'll be not a super eventful show anyway.
I'm sure it
the
won't
week
be.
Of Christmas, but
no.
Who knows?
The one that we're missing?
Yeah.
I thought you meant the one after we come back, which probably won't be eventful either. Right after the holidays.
Yeah.
Right before New Year's.
Yeah, we'll see.
So that's the thing is like watching Raw live sometimes can be brutal, but but it's okay. I like talking about it with you guys and hearing you guys' thoughts. And actually the first few Raw viewings weren't as bad as I thought. The first one was kind of brutal, but the second one wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to say goodnight. We'll see you Friday morning for Two-Faced Wrestling Talk.
Yes, please check it out. It's our podcast that will drop on this channel that you're watching right now. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you didn't get a chance to shout out your comments or your thoughts, tweet at us, like I said, at SuperKickinIt or at Two-Faced-Pod, TWOFACEDPOD. Thanks, Dave, and thanks to all of you who are watching right now and who watched and hung with us throughout the show. We appreciate you and your time. We know it's valuable. But until next time, that's it for us. That's the finish. Bye, guys.